You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next, the April 18th meeting of the Michigan City Urban Enterprise Association. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
I'm going to officially call the meeting order, so I guess look at the camera. Today is April 18th at 6 p.m. on the dot. We're calling the Michigan City Urban Enterprise Zone meeting, official meeting, and I would like to go ahead by calling the roll. So, Scholar York.
Here.
Councilman Tracy.
Present.
Tommy, I heard your last name.
Amico. Here.
Good to see you. Rodney McCormick.
Present.
Jalen Bonet.
Present.
Darren.
Present. Esther.
Esther. Present. Awesome. Okay. Glad you can all make it. We do have an official quorum, and so I would like for the board to review the minutes and see if there are any changes before approval. Lenny, can you get that brochure so I can get all reports?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's the same. Right, so that's the easy on the report.
No, read the minutes first. This is for the director's report.
Put shiny stuff in front of us.
So if there's any questions on the minutes, any changes,
Motion to move to accept the minutes.
Second.
motion by Mr. McCormick and second by Mr. Bonet. Call the motion. I guess we gotta say.
We gotta vote now.
Vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, all in favor, for anonymous, Esther, thank you. Anonymous, for the meeting minutes acceptance. I'd like to go forward and give the director report and the financial report. Under the director's report, you should have in your hand a copy of the newly minted Michigan City Urban Enterprise Zone brochure. This was done, I guess, almost 2 months ago, but we didn't make last month. So this been we've dropped off at various locations across the city. City Hall, the library, CVB, Chamber of Commerce, and of course here. If you need the room, we'd love to take some with them tonight, 5, a dozen, whatever, to take to your offices or people you know within the zone. Please do. We're trying to get the word out. We've also put it on our Facebook page and also social media, put it out on social media, just so people, so we're trying to get the word out. I know we've
Recording in progress.
talked to the church, the group, ministry group, for them to give it to people that they know. So again, just trying to find various ways. There's no really one way to do this. It's more like guerrilla marketing. Who you know, you give it out to, and that's what we're trying to put at different public locations. So we're open to ideas. If you guys have any ideas of where you think you should go, let us know. We'll get it there. If you want to take some with you, let us know after the meeting. We'll give you a dozen or so, and if you want to give it out, call us. We'll get you another dozen. So the whole idea is to get it out there, because we'd like to make sure that people are doing projects and improving the UEZ, both neighborhood and residential and commercial, to get stuff done. So again, this is just kind of a showcase, but at the end of the day, it's one-on-one. Community meetings, word them out. So that's what we wanted to keep being out there. We've got 2 new applications for grants, and we got 5 in the pipeline. Pipeline means they brought it to us. They need more work. So we're working with the applicants to either get us their receipts or the additional bids and all that. So we're hoping the next meeting will have more grants to be approved, because we work with the applicants to get us the permission to meet. We can't bring it to you unless we get all I's dotted and T's crossed.
What's the remaining money in the funds in the budget?
We'll get that in a minute, but we have over $300,000 in the budget, so.
That can be applied.
Yes. So we do have money. So money is not the issue. It's just making sure that the applications are properly done. So, yeah. And so, so our goal is to hopefully get about a dozen or so this year done, just to get people residential and commercial. Now, just as a word of, I guess, information, point of information, the city, the RD River Commission does have a larger commercial facade grant. So I know some people have opted to do that because it's much bigger. That's like up to about 50 grand.
It's a scaled system. It's like 30 grand, but we only pay 60% of total.
Okay.
So it could be more, but we only gonna pay 30.
So when people have a bigger project, that's where they go. So this is really for the guys who need signs or paint or maybe some.
And then that's to the city, you said?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Development Commission.
and it covers the UEZ. So when we have a large project, that's what we send them because we want to make sure we get the smaller business and the residential people more money because the city doesn't have a residential program.
Yeah, we don't do residential.
So
Who's over that program, Skylar?
My department.
Your department, you are? Okay.
so
That's more building improvement.
yeah, it's much more larger stuff.
It's very specific.
It's not trade fixtures or equipment or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys do a little bit more in things,
Right,
can't
it's
set
a
it
raw,
off, which is
yeah.
nice.
Right.
So
Sometimes those play hand in hand.
So we try to make sure the persons who need just 5,000 whatever just to get that to their project, some paint, blade signs, that kind of stuff. For the homeowner who needs to have a new fence or windows or roof, whatever. So that's kind of, the city doesn't have those kind of programs. So this helps in that regard within the zone. So that's my report. I mean, I'm glad that we actually have a face-to-face. Oh, we also sent out the reminder too for the filings for all the companies who have the UEZ incentives to file this year, and then we send out the invoices in this fall. So, but they have to send their information by June to the state, Lily. When do they have to file? By June every year? Yeah. So then we invoice them at the end of the year.
Are there any new companies? I'm so sorry.
We don't know yet.
Don't know. Okay.
They have time to. So as soon as I get the list of who are filing, I'll let you know. We think there may be one. We know they've talked to us about it. GAF. If that happens, that'll be a big chunk of money.
I was gonna say that probably definitely benefits it.
Okay, they built a $30 million building over on the east side, so that could be roughly $100,000 a year to our budget if they decide to come through with it. But it's their option to file if they want to file or not. We can't force them to, because they got to do the paperwork. So, and we've had other companies talk to us about it. We had a company we're working with at the east side. The west side. Not sure if they're going to make it or not, but it was a company we're trying to recruit out of Illinois, 120,000 square feet, 50 new jobs, but the property has some issues with environmental that the owner doesn't want to put any money forward, so it may not come to fruition. But they were looking at this too as they want to buy the building, spend about $3 or $4 million to upgrade it, and it would have been a nice hit for the UEC. But again, we work with people for 6 months, a year. Sometimes it doesn't happen. That's we get. We gotta have tough skin in this business because we try to recruit companies. You go all the way to even an LOI in the property, and then they back out. That's
game.
Yeah.
So back to the residential piece can trees be removed with that money, that funding? Because we know in a lot of these urban areas where elderly people live, now these trees are really tall and they're starting to fall and come down. Can these trees be removed with that money? That would
I'll
be
talk about a little bit. There is no vote over what you had on there.
It will definitely be beneficial to these neighborhoods to have that support. And then another thing real quick before I forget. We talked early on about identifying contractors that would be worthy of referrals, or we would have an idea of what type of work they do so that they could be referred or actually be identified as someone trustworthy. Have we moved on that at all?
Yeah, that's a tough one because unless you use them, you can't refer them as a trustworthy source. Now, we've talked to the city about their list, and they got an extensive list.
I've used that
But
list.
we-
I talked about that list. The list.
But we don't know exactly until you use them how do you refer them. You know what I'm saying?
The list is a problem.
So
That is the problem. I've used the list personally. I want to know what we're going to do to address the fact that you have people on that list that I literally had to fire.
well,
Three
but see,
different
that's
Yeah, we can't.
the city
I know
can't get
that, but
involved in
then you tell me that
issue.
after the third time that someone has reported this person, you'll suspend them, and then they pay for a fine to come back. What is that? What?
It's just the way it's the way the law.
But what is that? How does that really benefit the community or the person who's now been left with the bag with their house?
But that's a
destroyed?
consumer. What do you call it? Consumer.
Advocate report.
Yeah, I mean, some states do a better job at
But we're
Indiana.
getting that information from the city. We're getting the list from the city that these are people that you can trust. That's why the list exists, right?
No,
Why does
the list is registration. That they can do business in the city.
A business registration.
Yeah, but it's not a consumer
Yeah, it's not a Better Business Bureau.
Better Business Bureau type report. The list
We have
says
to have, we have to have those companies on that list?
if they're registered,
Yeah, I can't.
and they,
It's better to use than they say because they're registered. But if they jack
it means
you,
they met all the qualifications. It doesn't mean that they're credible business people.
Right,
You know,
that's all it
that's the
means.
issue. you know.
They hold a license.
Exactly, exactly.
To contract
which
in the
brings me
city.
back to if we've identified those individuals who work well within the city that we can promote and push up. That was the whole purpose of that conversation.
Right.
I don't know how we do it, but I'm just saying
Yeah,
we
that's a tough
shouldn't
one.
allow this to keep going on where people are being, misused by
That is a
these
tough one
contractors that are on the
because
list that the city is
I
providing.
know people like Darren who use a lot of contractors. They know who to use, but there are people that
I
misuse
still
again.
don't have anyone.
And
good to use
it's
the-
tough.
The challenge.
It's very tough.
Yeah, when we provide that list, we caveat it with like, this is not a BBB by any means. This is just saying these people meet the qualification. They filled out their paperwork and turned it in and provided what we asked for.
And it can get into muddy waters when you have like a preferred vendor list too, especially
Exactly.
when the city's endorsing it.
Exactly.
So,
And that's why we talked about doing some sort
That's
of
our problem.
gathering or promotion or lifting up where these folks are in the room and they can talk about how they can be of better service to the community. Engage
But
them
even
instead
then
of keep them in
you
front
do
of
that
this.
meeting and then somebody mess up from that room, then they go blame you for referring them a bad referral. So it's a tough.
That's
No,
just
just
make clear up front.
my
You don't
only
have to make that
caveat to that is one city I worked, they had inspectors who inspected city work and any grant the city did. That's a whole different level because then the person's employed by the cities for any kind of grants the city handled like UEZ or HUD grants, and this project inspector go out to make sure it's done properly before they're paid. So that's really that's the only handle you have on making sure the job is done right. And because I remember we had seniors and people who were disabled who wanted to make sure they weren't being taken advantage of. The city had 2 inspectors, and their job was to actually go out to make sure it was done according to the way it was to be. It was written up and approved by the city, and in that way, it was done right. So that'd be the way to go. But just to give people referrals, you have no control of what they do when they go to the client's house.
No, you don't.
So-
Correct me if I'm wrong, you have to pull a permit, right?
Yeah, but
And the building inspector, they are there to make sure that the job is being done right.
no, not done right. It's done according to the code. According to the code and done right is not the same thing. So they're not the same thing. Because you could do something that looks like it's inspected and it's done okay. 3 or 4
But that's not what he said.
it works 3 or 4 times, and when and a month later it doesn't work.
That's not what he
Who do you
said,
call?
though.
Who do you call?
That's not what he said.
No, I mean, it's so gray. That's why I prefer to have the inspector who actually is there to follow up, because then that person will not get another job with the city or city projects if they don't go back and fix it. That's the leverage you have. Is that
I thought I was under the impression that once you get a permit, you pull the permit, that the inspection office will make sure that the job is done right. If they cut any corners, any of that, that they are able to shut it down and make sure
Well,
it's done right.
If it's, sometimes it's not done right cosmetically, they can't change that for you.
Correct, and you can do things by code.
I have first-hand knowledge of how that happened.
That's what I'm saying, that's the tough part.
That's
That's the
not
tough
how it
part.
works. But you're right, Rodney, because they did come out, they did inspect it, they did say it was incorrect, they did need to fix it. He came back out, he still didn't fix it, they came back again and they tried to connect with him, and then that's when I just said, forget it. I'm paying him and I don't want him back on my property.
So that's, I mean, it's a tough problem to fix.
We go and
Sue tried to really handle this, so I know. She tried to, but it didn't
Sue was
work
excellent
out.
at it, and Sue, trust me, I talk with Sue a lot. Sue will say, "I don't like the way they did this,
She will.
but I can't change it because it's code." She's like, "But I wouldn't have done it that way."
She will.
She'll tell me that, and I'll be like, she'll explain to me why, and I'm like, "Oh, that makes total sense."
No,
But I want
if
you
it's a
all to
city
understand
project,
again the picture that it paints. It's just not a good picture. That the city is being counted on to give a citizen a good list to work from and recommendations to consider, and then they pay for that permit for that work to be done, and then if it's not done, the only thing they can hold them to is come back out and fix it, and if they don't fix it, it's on you, I'm sorry.
If I can chime in on that, so in order to properly to eliminate that would be when that occurred, the it should fall then on the city to say we're no longer going to use them as one of the vendors.
I think that has to happen 3 times for that to occur.
Okay.
For them to lose that license to contract.
And then they have to reapply to the city and pay a fine to be reinstated. Still coming
Which
back
goes
to the
back,
city
still
to what
coming
I'm
back to the
saying.
city.
yeah,
No
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
If you're doing bad work, you shouldn't be on the list. We should, the city of Michigan should
Right,
recommend.
I mean, it's a tough problem to fix. I don't have any more ideas on how to fix that. It's a tough problem to have, so.
I do.
Hey, hey, I'll listen to you because it's a tough one. Because what you don't want to be is in a position where you refer somebody and then the client got,
You just have to know who you're
Right.
dealing with. It's that simple. And if we are, recommending people to work within the city to do the work for the citizens, there should be some way that we, again, have a venue where they're together. We're introducing to them new techniques, new technology about how to help folks with, like I said, with solar, getting that done. Bringing them all together in a room and letting their minds work together and getting a feel for who's out there. Maybe that will start to generate some sort of cohesion in the community, because right now you're not doing it. This ain't working.
And right now it's hard to find contractors. I mean, people will ask for bids and they'll tell them have a hard time getting bids.
Yeah, people that are.
Nobody wants to come and
Two
bid.
is just, no, that's too, that's hard. It's hard.
Finding two isn't, yeah.
And we used to, I guess you used to ask for 3, but some now ask for 2 because it's hard to find 3.
I hear that all the time. I find that very interesting, because when I was working on my house, I found 7. But,
Were they really good?
that's
Yeah. Yeah, and so, like I said, one of the sponsors I work for, that's why I had somebody who was in charge of the project to make sure it was done properly. Because if you're a senior or not even senior, if you haven't done a project like this before at your home, yeah, you can have somebody who's unscrupulous.
Yeah.
So that's where some cities have a consumer advocacy department, all that kind of stuff. It's a little different than the rest of this, because that's what you're looking for at the end of the day, is an advocate.
or a noteworthy, trustworthy contractor.
But that's far and few between, because once you find them, then you want to use them over and over and over. So once the city has that list.
And I have that contractor right now, and that's the only one. No one can come in my office. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what happens. But then when I tell my relatives how fantastic he is, and then they all want to use him, guess what? I can't get in. Now he's down the list because I got 15 family members that want to pull him because he's trustworthy and he's going to finish the job and do it right.
Right, and it was down as 16.
I mean, I'm not exaggerating.
The good ones they can't get them to work with because people know who they are and they keep them on their list. So, but it's a good discussion. I don't have an answer for you today on that one, Tom.
I do. I told you I got the answer. Whenever you're ready for it. I got the answer. You gotta be ready for it.
So that was my director's report. So, financial report. If you look on the sheet we gave you in the Horizon checking account, we have $290,171.88. In the Horizon money market account, we have $10,087.68. Totally in the bank account right now is $300,259.56. No receivables outstanding. Claims docket January 1st to February 28th. What we've paid up to date, Diane's final contract, $6,000. EDCMC contract October 21st to January 22nd, $14,000. Bank fees, $20. Post office rental, $62. And grants on sign to date, $21. For a total payment of $41,082. And so on the outstanding claim right now, beside the grant we're going to look at tonight, is our funds from February through April 22nd, $10,500. And so, if there are any questions, I'd love to entertain them. If not, I'd love to have the board approve the financial report and the claim as presented, except for the Learning Center.
Motion to accept the report as written.
Second.
Stated.
Questions? Okay, vote.
Do you want us to carve out the Learning Center?
Yes, because we have to discuss that.
So do we need to?
Before he made that motion, I had a question and I just wanted to confirm.
Yes.
For Diane, this is the final pay for her.
Final payment,
Okay, on that
also
contract.
last
Okay.
year. So we voted for it and we met.
Okay.
So,
Do you want us to revise his motion to exclude that one, or are we good?
I said it stated.
I stated, okay.
Oh, okay, I'm so sorry.
Excluding middle sprouts because you guys have to vote on that separately.
Sorry, Roddy.
That's okay.
So I'll call for the vote. Esther?
Aye.
Scott York?
Aye.
Councilman Tillman?
Aye.
Aye. Rodney? Jalen?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
All in favor? No nays. So we'll move to the next part of the business, new business. Typically, the grants committee chair present this. I guess he's not here, so Jalen or Scour will present this.
We're all here.
Oh, you're on here. So, all right, so, that was Todd. I'm sorry. Well, you guys can discuss what happened and why you came to this conclusion, and let the rest of the board know because I'm not involved in this part of the discussion.
Sure. Yeah. So,
Go ahead.
this is the Little Sprouts Learning Center. This is the daycare. It provides a facility for kids to attend while their parents at work, after school and during school work hours. The lady, she applied for $7,500 grant, business grant. Estimated cost of $10,000. She was looking to improve her windows, new windows placed in her home. And after the inspection, identified the windows should be the next project that she needs to repair. Also a new roof, siding, appliances, and insulation. The board, the committee decided to approve this grant. Commercial grants can be up to 50% of the project for $7,500. And so we approved her for $5,250.
Any questions from the grant committee?
Yes.
How much was you approved for?
She was approved for $5,250 because it's
50% of the project. Yeah, she went with a bid, it looks like from the pricing, she went with a bid from Quality Exteriors. They bid $10,500. That's included in your packet for 7 new double hung windows, a small picture window, 1 sliding door, and they're going to be vinyl replacement, I guess. That's a replacement window, is a specific type of window. And that was materials included for $10,500 was that bid. She did get a second bid from Window World. It was a little bit more also included in the packet there.
Yeah.
What's that, to 10,500?
Yeah.
I have a question in regards to the award. Once an individual or a business has been awarded like this, when it's in a home, what are their requirements to continue the business after it has been refurbished?
What are the requirements to?
Continue the business.
Operating it as a
Right.
business,
It's
right.
their home, they no longer want to do it, and now they fixed the home, and now they're living in the home. So how does that work?
I think that's been.
Is there any accountability? Like, say for instance, they get the grant money,
Like a time frame.
30 days later, they say, we done, we out of here. I don't want to do that.
You have to keep that business for at least 3 years in order to get this grant. You got to keep this business going for 5 years in order to get this $5,000. You can't fold after we give it to you 6 months and be in your home.
Also, I don't know if that's,
There are no requirements. However, just so you're aware, for $5,000, let's say you give them 5 years, or okay, so they close the building. They go to business in 2 years. So the property is worth 200 grand. They sell it or whatever. So then I have to go hire an attorney for over 10 grand to go get 5 grand. So typically, it's not worth going
You have
after
to
the
go get an
money.
attorney to do what?
If you want to go file to be, because to get your place in line, the only way to get your money, number one, once you give them the grant, you got to go file a lien on the property. So there's a lien on the property. Typically, like for HUD, there's a forgiveness every year. You forgive a percentage of the note. So let's say it's 5 years. Every year you forgive 20%. So they go to business in the third or fourth year.
Exactly.
They owe you $2,000.
Right.
What is it going to cost you to go after that?
From a legal standpoint, I kind of like, I understand what he's saying. Is there, as a board, can we vote that put that into one of our clauses?
Yeah, you can change the rules. It's just that once that happens, how do you get it back? Because then it's gonna cost you a lot more to go do all that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I hear what you're saying. It's just the cost for recovery is not
what you're saying.
It's not easy because you got to go to the court system to be a year, 2 years out before you even get that
Then if
$5,000
they don't
back.
have it, then it's just a small
You
claim.
just throwing good money out the bag.
No time.
Okay.
Now we could put it in the clause that you want that, so you put the fear of God, and so to speak, in them, but you go recover. That's going to be the issue you have.
I think
But you don't want to scare people off because
Oh, that too.
I agree. I think too. You got to look at the bigger benefit. You know, when we do facade grants, I've worked with facade grants for my whole entire career since I've been a planner. With smaller grants like this, you got to look at like, okay, it didn't have any windows. Now it has windows. Now there's value to that. So the tax value.
And there's efficiency.
There's efficiency.
So if it falls, the property's been improved.
But also, it's been improved.
Exactly.
So you got to look at it like
Taxes go
permanent
back to the
improvements.
Exactly.
Up the prices. If it sells again, it's worth more.
It could.
It could.
It could.
Yeah. So I mean, there's
Intangibles, I guess.
intangible value, if you will. That's how we kind of like downtown buildings. When we go in and revitalize, we look at like, you know, okay, it's boarded up. Now it's not boarded up. The business may come and go, but we've got a new facade on that building, and it's more attractive. It can sell more. It can
So
sell
the neighborhood is being improved, even though the original
It's
intent didn't happen.
markers is what we call it. I manage government grants of $6 million, so I know exactly.
Well,
what
we
you're
go after that $6 million.
Well, markers really tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
And I was just curious because of course I'm not seeing any of that.
And for a lot of small business like a mom and pop, if you put that in your requirements, they won't come to after your money. It just scares me
They
away.
won't. They really won't.
Well, they may say, well, I don't know what the uncertainty of the market is in 2 years.
But that's not your focus anyway.
but to your an indirect answer to your question, I looked into the Little Sprouts Learning Center, and they've been, inspected regularly. They have checked up on all of the boxes, and
There you go.
The facilities
There
were
you go.
operating properly. The most recent inspection said recommend new windows, so they.
And they just changed a lot of the laws of the state to make it's a little more difficult to do that stuff now, to run one in your home.
Yeah, right.
Now, see, that's kind of information and conversation that I would want to hear.
Yeah.
So thank you for
So-
that.
You guys doing
Yeah,
that?
we did
Thank
look
you.
into it, yeah.
Recommendation to accept this grant?
That was the committee's recommendation.
Thank you for that.
Normally,
I move to approve the grant.
Second.
Second.
Esther, second. Okay, Esther, your vote?
Oh, yes, I.
Skylar?
Aye.
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 So, full unanimous vote by the board, so we'll be getting in touch with these folks, get a check cut and have Skylar or Tyler cut the check.
And just as another aside there, I've actually used or gotten estimates personally from both of these companies, and I can personally endorse Quality Exteriors for the work that they've done for me personally, so I do like the
What we will
company.
do now, because you've said that, we'll make them on a list for people who come to us. No, that's how you build that record.
That's what I'm talking
That's how you build that
about.
record, because it's a slow process.
More than one pronounced another.
You got two now, so.
Right.
The
So,
world's very effective.
so, I mean, that's how
We
you
know
build
they're out
that
there.
process.
It's one of how you engage them. We can talk to we're blue in the face. We know they're there.
They're up.
So,
Sure they are.
all right, so thank you. Any old business by the board?
The strategic plan.
Question. All good.
I still want to know, where is it?
So you want us to just plan for the UAZ?
Yeah.
Well, that's something we have to sit down and talk about. I mean, this is in terms of history. We were one of the first in the state to be granted the urban enterprise zone. We expired 5 years ago and re-upped another 5 years. So this year we will have to re-up another 5 years. So this would be a good time to talk about what we want to do the next 5 years, because after this they're saying it goes away. Anybody who is in the hopper now giving us the dollars will keep getting it after the 5 years, but we can't give any more incentive after 5 years. Make sense? So once you've applied, you get a 10-year benefit. So you apply the 5th year, you're still about 9 years, you get the benefits. So we'll still be meeting another 9 years after he goes away. But there'd be less and less money because we can't be adding new people. So right now, my goal is to keep adding new people this year and the next 5 years, because at least we'll have money and then it'll start trickling down over time.
Yeah.
So one of my goals is with my staff is let's figure out who is coming within the UEZ and get them, like the donut shop, and get them the incentive now, because once you're in, you're in. And so I'll be coming to you guys probably about 2 months to, we look at attorneys right now on their fees, that kind of stuff, because we have to go before the city council to get us reapproved and then send it to the state, downstate. So we're working on how to get that done. But
Do we have a mission statement?
there's a lot of old stuff out there. So what I would do, I'm going to bring you guys all the old stuff. Maybe we do a kind of a little session about, and then look at the old stuff, and then say, hey, look, this is what has been, and look at what other people are doing around the state, and maybe even call the state director and say, hey, come and talk to us about what other people are doing.
We've
to
actually
give you
looked
guys
outside the
ideas.
state. We've actually started to look outside the state.
That's
At
good,
the urban
except
board, just trying to get it.
that's good, except that Indiana has different rules. So if we can do it, we will. It's just that we're under Indiana statutes, something we can't do. But if we can do it, we will. I'm not opposed to
Can
making
we just have a
changes.
special meeting to do that?
We will.
We off camera, because it might get a little heated. So
We won't get
I think we
heated.
definitely need a mission
We won't
statement
get
so
heated.
people can leave.
I think part of it is knowing what are our boundaries, and how do we operate within the city, what are our legal guidelines, all that stuff that this board probably hasn't been privy to. And so I think having all that stuff in front of you would be helpful.
It will be.
Are we talking about changing any boundaries or anything like that?
No.
No, not just to give this board go up with the next 5 years,
Yeah.
what does this board want to do?
No, I know that, but when we re-up with city count with getting attorneys,
That gets very political, because you're looking at the city council who's going to say, well, do we give all that money? You look at the TIF district. So let's look at our boundaries right now and look at what we can do to build on. And I can help with that, because I know where the land is, I know where there's available land, I know where there's empty buildings, so I can help with that right right now. Again, having a map that shows the boundary where the empty land is for future development is helpful.
I just have one question. Go ahead, Darren.
Oh, I was gonna say, we do have that map. That was one of our most recent, that was updated. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it'd be a healthy discussion. It won't get heated. It'd be a healthy discussion because I think it's good for you guys to know
Yes.
what your roles are and what you can and can't do.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So, and so what I'd rather do is invite some people to that meeting, attorneys or the people from downstate to be here to kind of inform the board. So it's that's what they do.
Yeah, we just want something in writing, so we can have it, we can always lean on that statement. So I guess, Jalen, I would like to know any word on the market, Eastgate Plaza.
Blockers.
Yeah. They are putting up their shelves. They are already renovated. They're back in the building. They painted their walls. Shelves are up. Money's been poured in.
I think they got their coolers up and
Yeah, they got the
built,
coolers up.
but I don't know that they're wired in yet.
Don't
Have anybody been down there to see?
I've seen
You can drive by.
I've seen people.
I go on there all the time.
I drive down there every week.
So they're telling us that end of May opening date.
Yeah.
Fingers are crossed. I have not given any new checks out since the last check, so half the money is still in our pockets, so to speak, because we're gonna want to see more happen before we give any more checks.
How about one more visit next month or something, just to go in and just.
With all of us to go?
Yes,
Like a
yes.
group like we did?
Everybody wants to go.
We can set it up and shoot an email out and
I think that's-
let's go.
I'd like to have
Yeah.
All right, I would too.
Okay, we'll do that. Get it set up.
And nothing from Dunkin' Donuts. And I did go to,
Well, that's been an interesting project, and so let's say on the camera, I will say the financier of the person who funded the project has the money. It's been given. It's a family project, and unfortunately, it's a little slower. But it's not a financial issue. It's just them getting around to it. And so I've been pushing it. And last year, now that this spring, we're gonna push again to get it started.
Yeah.
So, because we have told them about the incentive with the UEZ and all that, what they can get. It's the Dunkin' Donuts project. And so they pull a permit for demolition.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for it to start.
Yeah.
So it's not a lack of us not trying to get them to do it. It's they haven't gotten around to it.
Will we knock the building down for them?
I've talked to the owner a few times. I thought it was going to happen last year. I'm not one to judge his finances or his approach to a project, but I thought it was going to happen after we talked.
Yeah, I mean, they bought it, they pull a permit, and
Yeah.
just stall. So,
I mean, we went through a lot of hoops for that. We went through a lot of commissions and boards.
it's in the ball is in the court. I mean, we'll just keep knocking on the door and keep pushing.
Where is that project located?
where Old Kevin's restaurant used to be.
What is that?
On Michigan Boulevard.
Yeah, the state, Kevin State.
What's the cross street? Butler.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Very cool.
It would be a good project over there, kind of something new commercial.
Right. Yeah, I like that.
We'd love to help the neighborhood.
And I have another question. So if there's other businesses within Eastport that could possibly utilize some of these grants, can those businesses' names be provided to you, and would you reach out to them?
Yeah. I mean, we do our best by putting it on social media and little packages, but you guys can take this out, and if you know anybody who think we should, we'll give us a phone number and email. We'll reach out.
Okay.
We're trying to give away the money to the business community and the residents. So please call us 219-873-1211. I mean, because we do have the money. The money is here. So it's not a lack of money. The money is there. So,
And our goal is, okay, I'm still going back to that. I'm gonna let it go. Because I think that when we start talking about really engaging the community and allowing them to see the value in this, they gotta trust it. And right now, I just don't feel like people are trusting what they're hearing, that it's something else to it.
Like getting a trip.
Yeah, and how do you, because I keep saying,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
From what I hear in my ward, which is the 5th ward, when I discuss or mention any of these grants, it's the paperwork. It's too much. I don't have the time. And that's why I was asking, will they reach out to them and explain the details with them? Because there are some businesses that would utilize it, but I don't know if it's because certain financial information they don't want to disclose.
well, you don't have
But
to.
Well, maybe this is the key that we,
Because
maybe
sat
she
down-
just said the key to the whole
It's not
thing.
a thorough process to
We've sat down here, and people help them fill it out, so it's,
Boom.
so it's
There
not
it
like,
is.
and so
Yeah.
people who think that they have to disclose financials, there isn't.
But I think you just said the key.
Yeah.
If people know that there is someone to help them to fill out the application, you don't have to fill it out. We'll help you get it filled out. I think it can go a long
And,
way.
and unfortunately, I mean, what you're saying is right, because in the past, we had a part-time person who was not downtown. And so by having an office, they can walk in. If I'm here, I'm gonna help them. He's here, he's gonna help them. So there's somebody here to help them.
Okay, so maybe we need to,
So, they'll call her, set up a time, make sure I'm in the office.
I mean, at least somebody come here, like,
Yeah,
maybe the neighborhood centers, I wouldn't even mind
things of that nature.
going and helping.
How would you get the contact?
Well, I was someone come in here and trying to apply for the grant. How do I start looking for a contract? We'll handle the list, or what do I need to do? How do I get this information?
It's one of the things I would do right now, based on like tonight, we know there's 2 contractors, I'm gonna start making that list, so.
They need to know that.
Yeah, we've never had a.
They need
like
to
an
know
office
that
with
you'll
permanent
do
people
that.
on it.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a big
So
deal.
how do we convey that message? That you don't have, everything that you need to know, we're gonna make sure you get it. We're gonna put that information in your hands, like you just said. How do we get the community that information?
I think Skylar just answered that.
She did.
Yeah, we never had an office before.
We never had an
I mean,
office.
we-
I mean, we had one, but it
We
was
did it here,
not staffed.
so
We got to do
That's why we,
Yeah, we're paying.
that's why we advocated for it to be housed.
do it.
And I've sent people
Yeah,
here,
that's all
I've handed out a number of brochures, but I am telling, like, this is a location that's,
Yeah, because before you never had that.
right.
So I would volunteer to come in, maybe periodically. I couldn't do it every day, but maybe.
Well,
once
usually
or
people
twice
ask
a
me
week.
calls because we're running around town, and so we'll make sure you come, we're here, so call us, set up a meeting with her, and we'll be here to help you through the process.
Well, to help someone who needs to get the application
So
filled
sort
out.
of by appointment, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Arrange that.
Because we leave the house and nobody is here, because we are usually not in the office and running around somewhere in Business City here, so. But, yeah, call us, set a time, and.
But I think that's, valuable for the board, who's kind of the primary way that these applications
like
are
an
getting out,
ambassador,
right?
right?
We're also
So
sort of
40 people.
ambassadors, exactly. So the
Call
board
us.
knowing to say, come
Call
to,
us, yeah, call us.
come to the EDC
Yeah.
office,
And
and
we'll
that's,
help you get it through.
yeah.
'Cause we want to see more applications. I mean, definitely more applications.
I gave one to somebody today and said, let me know if you need help getting through this, but yeah, come to the office, that's valuable.
Because I know the neighborhood centers are open at least 3 days out of the week. And I'm sure those counselors there would be more than happy to make,
Another thing too is, I thought we recorded the last year's UEZ training, so we had that training seminar from the Zoom meeting last year. Do we have it this year? I'm not sure we did this year. We had a Zoom training last month, but I'm not sure it was recorded. Was it recorded last month with Dan Bowditch?
Oh, yes, it was.
It was, so we have this year's meetings too, the training. We usually do tax abatements the first hour, second hour UEZ tax credits.
Sure was.
So, again, we can look at the last part of that video and then.
And that's information we posted on our LinkedIn, Facebook, our website. Like, we're hosting the seminar. So it's not that, we're not out here trying.
But do you know how you're being hit?
So
Are you getting the information on how you're being hit? Are people in the community hitting your sites?
I mean, we had a good turnout.
on the seminar.
On Zoom, so, I mean, but again, we're hitting everybody we need to hit. We don't know, someone could be at work. I mean, so you just never know. Some of the people who maybe we're trying to hit are probably not at home. So, but I think a lot of word of mouth. I think the board can be helpful with us with that, because we all have our circle of influence, so we just all use that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, as he said, you never had an office before where that's man 5 days a week, 8 to 5. That's never been done before, so that's helpful.
Yes.
Is the application where you can, is fillable? If you pull it and can you fill it out and there's and maybe do an example form? What I'm saying, just like you have, somebody got a question about something, go back and see something, that's already an example form.
We could probably change the names of the stuff.
Something like
and then
that.
do it.
Make sure you check this, make sure you do this.
But there's a checklist on there.
Yeah, I mean, the application is in the packet.
Can we
There's,
just like do a sample form and then put it next with the application so if they have a problem? And is there any way we can make it fillable? Is that a hard
I
task?
think it is. It is fillable. It is fillable.
Okay.
It is fillable, so. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, look at it, go on the site, look at it, and if you guys want to change, let us know.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, more applications, better, so.
Good job, everybody.
Okay.
The brochures look.
Public comment, I guess we didn't go through
Those
that.
look good.
Yeah, they look real good.
So, this is the EDC's annual report, this for you guys to have. Every year we publish a report to give to the community and the city council and the mayor, everybody kind of what we did last year. My office, I think for the first time this year, you guys are included in that, so. But what we want to do is also have a little before and after pictures of all these new USD projects, so we'll make sure there's before and after pictures and include that in the packet.
Next time around, I hope that we take a group photo and make sure it's in here.
That'd be nice to have. Y'all better show up though.
Don't come in this out.
So, and also, we looked at, I guess, do we want to continue hybrid meetings or not? So there was some rules with state law and all that. So we're trying to figure out, make sure we're complying with state law and all that kind of stuff. Because it's kind of, all that hybrid stuff is kind of going away and all that at some point. So at some point, pop-up have to be in person. Yeah, so there's all that stuff we're trying to make sure we're always in compliance with state guidelines and state rules.
Have we approved the hybrid yet? This board, have we approved one?
I thought we did. We approved a hybridized.
I thought we did way back when,
Yeah,
but
way
if not, if we're not unsure, we can.
I'm pretty sure we did a long time
We
ago.
can do it now, so I thought we did, but
thought we
if
did.
not.
Let's just find
Yeah,
out next
because
meeting and then we just get that taken care of.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Because we have to approve it. That has to be done.
Well, I should make the motion though to make sure that we done.
Well, he's gonna check and make sure, because there's no need to be, do something that we already approved, all right?
So, all right, but can you check on that last minutes, 2 minutes ago, I guess 2 meetings ago?
Are there any activities coming up city function-wide where we're promoting the economic?
We normally put it in our monthly updates, so for the business community. So we put in our monthly updates. When people come in, they make sure they have a copy of the brochure. So, but the specific people who are within the zone, are the people we try and talk to.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
I have a total question.
It's ongoing.
Just keep staring at these maps.
Well, let's close this meeting and then we'll.
Okay, yeah.
We can talk about those kind of meetings, questions.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Rodney, the floor is open. Thank you.